about you, but for me, working in the kitchen has always felt overwhelming. When you aren't familiar with creating meals in the kitchen, the task can feel challenging because it's not as simple as pulling your ingredients together. You first have to read a recipe, follow it to the T if you're anything like me, and then without the rhythms and routines, you're left with a big mess and a sink full of dishes. As a homemaker with a baby on the way, making more food from scratch is high on my priority list, but the first step is just simply getting into the kitchen and getting used to a rhythm and routine when it comes to my kitchen. Before I share some simple rhythms and routines I've begun implementing that will hopefully also help you feel accomplished in the kitchen, I wanted to share one of my family's all-time favorite easy dinners. This breakfast casserole is made with potatoes, ground sausage, eggs, and topped with my personal favorite, which is spinach and tomatoes. But you can also make this recipe with bell peppers or really any other vegetable of your choosing. I also make the casserole dairy-free since my husband can't have dairy, and then I sprinkle some cheese and hot sauce on top at the end for myself. I will have the original recipe linked down below in the description box if you guys are interested. Basically, you start by adding some butter to a glass baking dish until it melts down, creating a non-stick surface. Then I add in one bag, which is about 32 ounces of frozen diced potatoes. I've also used fresh potatoes and hash browns before in this recipe as well. Really, whatever you have on hand will work. I personally like using the frozen cube potatoes as they seem to create the nicest base holding the rest of the casserole together. Next, I cook the 1 pound of ground sausage and add in some salt, pepper, minced garlic, and onions until browned. Then once the potatoes are golden brown, usually it takes around 45 minutes or so, I take them out of the oven and add the ground sausage layer on top of the potatoes. You're then going to whisk together 12 or so eggs in a bowl with a splash of milk and add some more salt and pepper. This is a great time to mention a super helpful rhythm to get in the habit of, if you don't already, when working in the kitchen, is to clean as you go. I feel like this is one we hear from our parents when we're young and it seems unnecessary, but one of the most overwhelming parts about cooking for me personally is having finished cooking only to have to then clean everything up. And for me, it truly takes the joy out of the meal. So learning to clean as I go and put things away has saved me so much time and makes the process so much more enjoyable. Once I have my egg mixture ready, I like to add a layer of spinach on top of the sausage and then add on some tomatoes as well. I then pour the egg mixture on top of the spinach and tomato mixture and bake at 350 for 35 to 45 minutes. This is a super yummy and filling dinner and makes enough to have a few days of leftovers for lunch and our dinner as well, which we really like. Another rhythm I'm adding to my daily routine in the kitchen is to constantly be in the process of using my sourdough starter. Whether I'm feeding my starter, using the discard for a recipe, or making bread, getting into the routine of using my starter to some degree every day means that we always have fresh bread and that the starter is ready at any time for whatever I may need it for. This also allows me to have plenty of time to practice the skill of sourdough because there definitely is a learning curve depending on the weather, the time of year, the temperature of your home, your climate in general. There's always an opportunity to get a better rise or better shape, and the more you practice, the more it does help. Ultimately, while I love making beautiful loaves at the end of the day, if it tastes good and it provides fresh bread for my family, that's my ultimate goal, and so I don't get super bummed out if it's not as beautiful as some of the loaves you might see on Pinterest. Another rhythm I'm incorporating into my routine to make working in the kitchen more enjoyable is to get into the habit of turning on the dishwasher before bed and unloading it in the morning. This prevents dishes from piling up in the sink all day. If I'm spending a lot of time cooking and making lots of dishes, I've started to tackle the dishes as I go, which is also really helpful. Doing this allows me to not constantly have a sink full of dishes, which makes working in the kitchen feel stressful and overwhelming and helps keep our kitchen tidy throughout the day. saw a recipe for a sourdough coffee cake, and I've never made one, so I thought it was a good time to give it a try. For this recipe, you'll need butter, brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon for the crumble. I used a dairy-free butter, and for the cake itself, you'll need oil, sugar, brown sugar, 3 eggs, vanilla, sourdough discard, salt, baking soda, and flour. You'll want to add the wet ingredients together first and then add in the dry ingredients. I will have the full recipe linked in the description box for this one as well. Keeping things moving in the kitchen by preheating my Dutch oven now that the coffee cake is done, so that we can bake some bread to have for dinner. Keeping a rhythm in the kitchen of emptying the dishwasher, filling the dishwasher, feeding my starter, making a meal or two, and then closing the kitchen at the end of the night by wiping everything down and turning on the dishwasher has been super helpful. We are going to need more frozen diced potatoes, 8 eggs, 1 pound of ground sausage, cheese, and burrito-sized tortillas. I actually only had soft taco-sized tortillas, so I chose to go with those. which was not my best decision, but they will still do the job. You're going to start by browning the ground sausage. I'm also preparing my second loaf of sourdough for the week. This one is actually one I'm going to freeze for postpartum as well. Once the ground sausage is done, you're going to want to drain that on a paper towel, and in the same pan you're going to add in your potatoes. We're going to season with avocado oil, salt, and pepper, and then we're going to cook these until they're cooked all the way through. After that, we're going to remove the potatoes from the pan and then add some butter to the pan, as well as 8 eggs. Clean surface, you're going to want to lay out those 8 tortillas and layer your favorite cheese, eggs, ground sausage, and potatoes to the tortillas. ahead and added these to these freezer tins, which can be frozen and reheated when you're ready to eat them. I hope this video gave you some practical ways to make working in the kitchen more enjoyable, if that doesn't come natural to you. And if it did, I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe for a new video each week.